Hey everyone, Wolf Lord Rho here. Today I review the Warhammer 40k novel Oaths of Damnation, an Exorcists novel by author Robbie MacNiven. For this review I will be talking characters, themes and narratives of the book, but I won't be diving into any major story ruining spoilers. So as usual, let's begin by checking out the synopsis off the back of the book. The Exorcists are a Space Marine chapter unlike any other. To combat the forces of chaos, they willingly accept demonic possession, knowing that once it is purged, their shattered souls will no longer be susceptible to corruption. Those who fail the banishment trials become broken ones, living prisons for the terrors expelled from their brethren. Should such desperate measures become known to the wider Imperium, there is little doubt the chapter would stand accused of the vilest of heresies. When a demonic conspiracy sees a broken one freed, the Exorcists dispatch their vanguard elite, the Hexbreakers, in a desperate quest to hunt it down. But the connection between their quarry and the commander of the strike force, Dagan Zaidu, is more than it first appears, and the Hexbreakers find themselves in a race against time to find the Broken One before the secrets are revealed to the Imperium, bringing damnation to the entire chapter. Now, if that's not a great story premise, I don't know what is. In a nutshell, this is a hunt or pursuit story, as an elite force of the Exorcists race to track down the Broken One, before the demon within can truly escape the confines of his body. A story focused on the Exorcist chapter, a successor of the Sons of Dawn, but one you would absolutely not expect to see. As part of the fabled 13th founding, the Exorcists have more than a fair share of mystery about them. As the synopsis suggests, this is a chapter who freely practice demonic possession in order to banish and purge themselves, better protecting themselves in the fight against chaos to come. And this is a story of what happens when this all goes terribly wrong. And I've got to tell you, I really enjoyed this one. First of all, it's great to get a focus novel on a chapter outside the norm, not one of the usual big four. Look, you know me, I love them as much as anyone, most likely more than most people, but sometimes it's just nice to get something a little different. And this absolutely is the case with the Exorcist chapter. A chapter we've heard of, seen at time to time within short stories, but never really dived in and spent a great deal of time with them, until now. And that is a huge advantage of this story. It is virtually entirely told from their point of view, and so you really get immersed within the chapter. The character of them, the mental makeup, their traditions, and the toll this unorthodox and extreme practice takes on them. Quite obviously, it has shaped them to be a very unique chapter. And here you get to see all of that. Even tantalizing glimpses of the depths of the chapter's fortress monastery. And I absolutely loved witnessing all of it. Honestly, feeling like I was seeing something pretty special in those moments, for the first time in a long time. No, it doesn't lay out the Exorcist chapter like an encyclopedia, but just through the telling of the story, by spending time with them, it naturally unravels. I found learning about this chapter was by far my favourite aspect of the book. You even get glimpses of their clandestine relationships with the Inquisition, and anytime that infamous eye symbol turns up, you know things are getting interesting. Now, like I said, it is essentially a chase story, largely transpiring upon the world of Fidum 4, an Imperial planet embattled by the forces of chaos and the Militarum. The two central characters for the Exorcists being Dagon Zaydu, commander of the task force, and a role within the chapter known as the Sinslayer, and a chapter librarian named Torin Vey. And you get your usual relation and respect between the two here, librarians as ever seen as knowledgeable advisors. However, this is all contrasted by the function the chapter's librarius plays with the demonic rituals. So it adds a subtle little extra element and dynamic between the two of them, especially with Dagon being obsessed with preventing the demon's escape, Vey the more patient of the two. And you do actually get points of view from several members of the Exorcist task force as the mission continues along. But it all really boils down to the two of them for me. These are the two characters that matter. The other Exorcist characters, while not being particularly standout personalities, do bring their own fair share to the table. Anu, for example, is an Eliminator sniper, and that's a particular role I've not seen focused on much within the stories before. So while his personality may not have been the most memorable, his function and role were. And through him we also get to see the unique ties and relationship the Exorcists have to the demons they've banished. Anu, for example, a sniper, obsessed with the perfect shot, forever intertwined with a demon of Slanesh, its calls and appeals to him. And so all of these little story dynamics and elements of the Exorcists just add up to a really compelling story. And this is furthered by the enemy, the Word Bearers. I mean, if you want the very image of the Exorcists if things go too far, well, you've got it with the Sons of Lorgar, immersed as they are within demonology. Honestly, it's a great choice for them to be the opponent here, getting to see their take not only on the new Primaris, but also on the so-called Loyalist chapter, who practice demonic possession. It's absolutely fascinating to see how the Word Bearers not only react, but what they think about it. Through their eyes, we can see how even veterans of the Long War may be outmatched by the Primaris in strength, but how their experience can bridge that gap, and how their embracement of the demon differs and relates to that of the Exorcist chapter. I wouldn't say you get to see them as much as the Exorcists, in fact far from it, but when you do, the contrast and comparison they provide is definitely appealing. Even if they aren't perhaps the most remarkable or memorable villains you'll ever come across. I can't remember any of their names right now, for example, but that doesn't detract from the development that they added. Now, as for the pacing of this one, being a pursuit and chase, you do feel that time pressure throughout, at times viscerally, like a visible countdown on the page, especially towards the end. However, there are also plenty of times and moments it steps away from that, giving you time with the Exorcists more personally. And I appreciated that. Again, for me, because seeing and exploring the chapter was by far my biggest enjoyment. Now, as for cons, I can't really name any particular gripes that I had. Did we need to see so many different points of views from the Exorcists themselves? No, absolutely not. But it didn't become a major issue for me here, because everything is centered around that hunt and objective. It's all relevant to the same task, just a different view of it. There wasn't a time we were cutting away to the other side of the planet, to a random person that didn't really matter, and so your attention was kept on what's important. There was a moment where I thought it was going to go that route, and I almost sighed a bit internally on what could have been. However, then it flipped back in epic fashion, showing these people weren't important at all. And so, score-wise, I'm going to break one of my own rules here and give it a 5 out of 5 blessed by the Emperor. Even though there were no moments in this one that it gave me goosebumps or had me unable to sit still, leaping out my chair, which is normally the requirement of me giving a 5 out of 5. And there were even times, admittedly, I kind of breezed through the odd page to get back to the more appealing characters. But this story did its strength so well, and I enjoyed diving into the Exorcist chapter so much, that I honestly can't give it anything less. It deserves a 5 out of 5 for me. But I will say here, this story won't be for everyone. The first comment I had on Instagram when I said I'm really enjoying this one is someone replying they found it boring. And so it's the perfect example of how I always say we all interpret and enjoy the lore differently. And that's why it's best enjoyed for yourself. But if you don't know too much about the Exorcist chapter, or you're very interested in learning more about them, I really think you're going to enjoy this one, because that is undoubtedly the major strength of this novel. And it would be great to see other lesser known chapters getting the same kind of treatment. But as always everyone, what do you think? Have you read the Oaths of Damnation yet? And if so, what did you think? Or are you looking forward to being able to dive into it? As always, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. If you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too? But with that said, I am off, and I'll see you all again real soon.